What is going on? Our man, the snowman, has gotten paid. Today, it is snowing in August, as Josh Allen has said. If you guys are late to the news, our man Dion Dawkins got a 4-year, hefty 4-year, $60 million extension today that he signed with the Bills, locking him in here through 2024. Man, I can't even explain how I'm feeling about it. I'm so happy for this young man. This is a young man that I've actually had multiple conversations with over the past couple of years. Great guy. You ain't gonna find a better young man than Dion Dawkins here. But wow. I mean, just wow. I mean, we were just talking about who would get paid 24 hours ago, who would get paid first out of the Bills extensions going to be coming up with Dion Dawkins, Matt Milano, and actually a Trey White extension that's going to be coming up next. And it was Dion. So we're gonna touch on Matt Milano today too a little bit. But thank you for joining me. If you guys don't know me, I am JT Montgomery from the Colford Report, co-owner and founder of the group. But I do want to know, I'm going to take some of the comments today about what we're feeling about Dion Dawkins and his $60 million. Ronald EX, what's going on? Vicky Miles, hello, how are you? Billy Stevens, what about Matt Milano? Now is the time to pay him. We're going to see. I got a couple thoughts on that. My man, Gary Rupert, one Buffalo Center, always in the house, man. What is going on? But guys, we locked the big man up today. 4 years, $60 million. $15 million per season, making him actually the 5th highest paid left tackle in the NFL now. Now, the contract to me is not surprising with the amount of the money that we gave him. Because if you guys remember back in February, the Cardinals gave their left tackle, DJ Humphries, who's actually very comparable to what we have here in Dion Dawkins, a 3-year, $45 million deal. So when you really look at the comparison, it's a pretty good, it's a very fair contract for not only Dion, but for the Bills. I figured Dion would go first just for the simple fact that he himself has been building his brand, the Snow brand, everything he's been doing. You can tell that it was coming to this point that they were going to lock him down, that he wanted to be here long term. And as you remember, the great Bills GM Bill Polian had always said there's 4 facets of the game that you want to lock down, or 4 positions of the game that you want to lock down. That would be quarterback, defense end, left tackle, and I believe it was DB. It may have been linebacker. Actually, may have been linebacker. I have to go back and check that, fact check that. But I know it was either D and a linebacker, but I know left tackle was definitely one of them. So let's talk about Dion Dawkins and why he got this money. Well, for one, we have to start off with durability. This is a man who, since he became a starter in his rookie season, which was in 2017, he hasn't missed a game. Always durable. Hell, I don't even know if Dion Dawkins has missed a play, let alone a game, for the Buffalo Bills. His leadership value. Dion is a very charismatic guy, maybe the most charismatic lineman in the NFL, definitely the most charismatic lineman that we've had in Buffalo since Ralph Wilson has owned this team and now the Pagolas. Obviously, he knows about the Snowman. He's a fun-loving guy. That's just what he is. He's a fun-loving guy. He's like the big brother to the entire team. He's the big brother to the entire locker room. If you guys actually watched his press conference for signing his contract, he talked a lot about, being a team player, wanting to get this deal done, and why people like himself, Tre'Davious, Matt Milano, aren't asking for money. And now, mind you, I'm not saying that won't happen. Come Buffalo down somewhere down the line, a contract holdout or contract dispute, because obviously we know with winning ball games, there come contract disputes. Hell, there comes contract disputes without winning ball games. But he really, really honed on about just being a unit and focus on the big picture, which is actually bringing a Super Bowl here to Buffalo, which is awesome. And actually, for the first time in the last 20 years, I think we can actually believe that and actually have faith in that these guys are hell-bent on bringing a championship to Buffalo. And I think right here, we were just talking about it. Me and my guest Mook yesterday, Bills writer Mookie Hawkins from Wolf 1080, we were just talking about just the feel in Buffalo and how different it is right now. We're not having the trouble luring free agents to Buffalo. We're not having trouble re-signing our own. We just re-signed Sean McDermott to a 6-year deal. The last head coach that we extended before that was Dick Duran back in 2008. And now they're saying that Brandon Beane saying, I'm not worried about it. I'm confident I'm going to get my deal done too. I mean, when is the last time that we can honestly say people wanted to be in Buffalo? Coaches wanted to be in Buffalo. Players were enamored to come to Buffalo, and players wanted to stay in Buffalo. It's been a very long time. I think the last time we can say, as I alluded to yesterday on yesterday's show, was probably Bryce Pop and Chris Spillman. The only time we got players to stay was unless, remember, everybody couldn't be a Kyle Williams. Everybody wasn't a Kyle Williams. But the only time we could get players to stay is if we grossly overpaid, which seemingly we're not having to do that. And you know what? End of the day, with this fan base in Buffalo, which I consider to be the best fan base in the world, definitely NFL. I don't even think it's close, to be honest with you. The Raiders in Dallas, their fans are up there too. But I think Buffalo has the best fan base in NFL, and I think we've been tortured the most as well. But I think with this rabid fan base, the fact that the city of Buffalo is soon going to be going through a renaissance, and the city's going to be going through a renaissance as well. Don't forget about that. And that we have a young core. We don't just have a good core. We have a young core. Dion Dawkins signed this deal today. And don't get me wrong, this deal is only for 4 years. He's going to be 29 when his next deal comes up. He has another deal left in him, probably in this city. I mean, I just find it insane. But hey, guys, please drop your comments, drop your questions inside the chat. I'll be glad to answer them to the best of my ability and actually display your comments on the show. And if you're watching inside of a group or a Star Watch Party, make sure you're going to the Cold Front Report page to put your comments on that actual live feed, because that way it'll pop up. It won't pop up for me in the other feeds like that, even on my personal page. So make sure you get over to the Cold Front Report page and put the comments down so I can get them up on the screen. But let's talk about Dion Dawkins. This is a guy who He's improved every year, man. Every single season he has gotten better. It hasn't even been questionable. I mean, his first year, he started off on right tackle. I think he slid over for Cordy Glenn at left tackle, and he played very solid. Second year, he took kind of a step back. He kind of had two different halves of the season last year. And I know he alluded a lot to that first half of the second season being a little rocky without having Eric Wood and Richie Incognito and guys like that around him. But last season, I thought he was rock solid, especially the second half of the season. And he had some pretty tough matchups. I mean, I think the one matchup I remember was the Myles Garrett. He pretty much stonewalled Myles Garrett, who obviously just got paid, $135 million contract himself, highest paid defensive player in the history of the league, I believe. Stonewalled the entire game and kept him off Josh. So, like I said, Dion is he's a veteran guy and a very important leader in this Bills locker room, and he's going to be a very important leader in this Bills locker room going forward. Now, the $60 million is over 4 years, and his guaranteed money is $34 million. So I think, like I said, once again, it's extremely fair deal. I'm not surprised the Bills gave it to him. Not surprised one bit. Been saying the entire time, the first person to get the deal was going to be Dion. You got to lock your left tackle up. You got to lock your leaders. And that's exactly what it is. And I'll keep alluding to it. He's a leader. If you just watched his press conference, he just talked about, it was a couple of sound bites from that. I don't win until we all win. I understand about what we have here in Buffalo. He talked about his mom crying and him making it and just wanting to be a part of Buffalo and never even thinking about this contract. So, I mean, I'm just really ecstatic for Mr. Dawkins here, the snowman himself. But here, let's get to some comments here. Man, Brandon Koch says, and hopefully I got your name right, super pumped from South Florida. And I don't know, Dion actually stays in South Florida in offseason, so maybe you're running too. I mean, if you pay any attention to Dion Dawkins' offseason work, it's normally a 6, 7, 10, 11-mile bike ride all around the heat of South Florida. So this is a guy who's been training all the way through and even through the pandemic. Hasn't stopped. Mark Del Monte says, go Bills. Let's see. Evelyn Costello says, hola, ¿qué pasa? From Rochester. How are you, Evelyn? Good to have you here. And I have a question here or a comment. Eric Barnes says, don't crucify me. But looking ahead, even though Milano is nice, I would see what he would draw in a trade. I think the blow to the defense wouldn't be as dramatic. A negative as a return on investment or trade could be a positive. Could be positive. We won't be able to keep paying every dude we hit on. No, you know what, Eric? This is something that we've been alluding to on the Bills Yak podcast. If you haven't got over there, that if Matt Milano would be the odd man out, in my opinion, because he's a 4-3 outside linebacker, and you do have Tremaine Edmonds, that he would be the easily replaceable one. And I'm not going to throw the word easy around like as if he's not a good player, but it's harder to replace a left tackle. It's harder to replace a shutdown corner and Trey White. So if it came down to it, I think he would be the easiest one to replace, and you could probably replace him next year, because at this point with the draft, you're not drafting for impact players in the first round anymore. It seems like, you can sit people like AJ Epinesa this year with their top pick. Obviously, he was a second round pick, but he doesn't have to play right away. So they built a good amount of depth there. Let's see. Gerald McElwain says, not sure you can invest the money into Milano with having to pay Edmonds. And once again, that's exactly the point I'm alluding to with that. Dion Dawkins, you didn't have a replacement on his roster. If you did, maybe you will look to replace him. I would have highly doubted it, but you don't have replacements for left tackles just sitting around. And like I said, I think that the deal that we gave Dion was extremely fair. 4 years, $60 million. You got to think about that. In about 5 years, when this deal is running out, this is going to be not in the top 5 offense alignment. Hell, we just saw Jack Conklin get paid, $18 million per year to play right tackle. So in 4 years, when this deal is coming up again, this won't even be in the top 10 of left tackle deals. So I think it's extremely fair. I think it's going to be declining as far as league value goes instantly, actually right now, right into this season. So just masterful job here by Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott and Jim Overdorf too for getting this deal done, and actually masterful job for Dion for taking it. I think he could have commanded maybe a 2 to 3 million more at his age and his potential. He probably could have commanded at least 17 million per year if he really wanted to. But it doesn't seem like him and his representative wanted to make this negotiation hard at all. It don't seem like it was. It came out of the blue. It just dropped out the sky on us today, did it? Just dropped in the sky out of us. So, but yeah, definitely shout out to Dion Dawkins. I mean, he's a huge part of what we do here in Buffalo. He's a huge part of what we're going to be. He's a huge part of what we're going to have. I mean, he's one of Sean McDermott's first draft picks. So it's always nice to see these draft picks come home because, like I said, for a long time here in Buffalo, we didn't retain our draft picks. We didn't retain them at all. Like I said before, if we did, we had to grossly overpay. It doesn't seem like that. These guys will keep saying, referencing the same thing. AJ Klein has said it. Josh Norman has said it. And these guys have been on the team forever. Dion Dawkins has said it. It's about playing in Buffalo. It's special now. It's a very special thing. The league is on notice. The league is on notice. You better believe it. All those free agents that are going to be free agents after this season, you better believe they're taking business to Buffalo. They're on the radar. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. They're on the radar. But yeah, any questions, guys, comments, put them in the chat. We'll get to it. But yeah, I mean, Dion Dawkins, snowman. 4 years, $60 million. He's going to be locked up in Buffalo. Like I said, I cannot picture a better guy. This guy has consistently put work in on the field, consistently put work off the field, and just the development and keeping the same people around Josh Allen. And this is a huge part of this deal as well, is keeping the core around Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a guy who played high school ball in a small community in Fireball High School in Fireball, California, right near Fresno. Played in a small county, small team. You know, he's a family guy. All these guys are family-oriented guys, from Brandon Beane to Sean McDermott to Josh Allen. And Dion Dawkins is a part of that. He's the presence. Like I said before, he's the big brother in that locker room. You don't want to see him walk out that door because he's not easily replaceable. He's not easily replaceable at all. But do I think that we could have possibly upgraded at left tackle? Now, that's going to be a good question. Could we have upgraded at left tackle? It's very possible. But at the end of the day, how many left tackles do we see are drafted in the top 10, top 15 every single season and are just bust? Horrible. Just awful. Awful. So like I said, do I think he's a Pro Bowl level left tackle? I think he has the potential to be. He has potential to be a Pro Bowl level. I don't know about perennial. Is he ever going to be elite? I don't think he's ever going to be elite left tackle. But we don't need him to be. And that's kind of the blessing you have when you have a mobile quarterback like a Josh Allen. Mobile quarterbacks can make average offensive lineman good offensive lineman elite. And in a case like Dion Dawkins, there's going to be times where he's going to look like an elite offensive lineman for stretches during games. There's going to be certain stretches, time periods of games where he's going to look elite. And the more we add more weapons like Stephon Diggs, Motor's going to his second year, Zach Moss, Dawson Knox is going to his second year. The more that these guys get seasoned and the more that these guys improve, his job is going to be so much easier. He's going to be blocking for literally 3 seconds because that's actually what Brian Daboll's passing game is based on. It's based on pre-down reads by the quarterback. So hopefully he'll allow Josh to come out of his shell this year and make pre-play reads where we can get the ball off a lot quicker. And like linemen aren't blocking for 4 or 5 seconds for like some backyard football type of play. But let me ask. Got a question here from Gary Rupert. Gary says, "Do you see Christian Wade making this roster even on special teams as a kick return man?" Well, Gary, I love Christian Wade. I love Christian Wade's story, but the answer for me is actually no. I just don't see it. Christian Wade he's still behind the boat, if you want to call it that, on NFL football. he's still behind a little bit. And I can't imagine that in an off season like this where there wasn't a lot of training, it was mostly all social distancing, there wasn't a lot of traveling or for a long time. I can't imagine that he would be able to get caught up to speed to actually make this roster. But I believe, and I'll have to fact check this, but I believe he does have another year of eligibility on that special clause he has about being on the roster. So if he doesn't make the roster, I think he can stay on their practice squad and be untouched for another year without actually touching one of those 4 designated untouchable spots that's going to be weekly. So international player designation, I believe. So no, I don't see him not this year. And I mean, honestly, our running back core is really deep. It's probably deep as it's been since we had McCoy and Gillislee. So I mean, because you figure you got Devin Singletary, you got Zach Moss, you got Tywan Jones, who's going to be your special teams ace most likely. And don't forget, we still have TJ Yeldon on a 1-year, $1 million deal. Let's see. Brandon says, thanks for the shout out. Appreciate you. How do you see the backfield playing out in terms of touches? Obviously, Devin's number 1, but how do we mix in Moss? So that's a very interesting question. I know we did a pod on this a couple weeks ago, and I had my co-host James Mallory ask to speak on it since James was an NFL running back. And I mean, I have to agree with him. I think you're going to see the carries more or less if Brian Dable, and that's a big if Brian Dable decides to commit to the run, then I think you're going to see, let's just say you get 25 carries in a game. I think you'll see Motor get about 16 of those. Moss get around 9. I think that's going to be the split. I think that's what you're going to see more or less. I don't think Zach Moss has the ability to possibly stay healthy in the NFL at this current moment with his running style. I mean, he's really downhill. I mean, he can be elusive at times, but like he said, if you tackle him, you're a defender, you're going to have to make a business decision. Well, this is the NFL, and those business decisions on your own end and add up really quickly. So I see them as comparable to Dallas when they had Julius Jones and Marion Barber before Marion Barber took the starting spot. I think that's a very comparable backfield. And actually, Dallas was, with that young backfoot, was actually very successful running the football. Probably more successful than they had until they got Ezekiel. The most success they have until they got Ezekiel Elliott. So that's why I see a split. I see splits maybe like 60-40, maybe 70-30 some games with Singletary. But I'll say this. If Devin improves in the pass blocking aspect of the game and also his catching ability out the backfield, because last season, the first half of the season, he looked very unnatural catching that ball. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I thought he looked very awkward, and I couldn't understand why in the world we were not using TJ Yeldon. But in the second half and even to the playoff game, he looked a lot more comfortable catching the ball. And I know that's something that he's worked on this offseason vigorously to improve on. So if he's catching the ball out the backfield, making plays, that it's actually going to be very hard for Zach Moss to get on that field besides short yardage or maybe a fresh of air, a breather for Devin, and besides goal line. So we'll see. We're going to see what happens with that. But yeah, no doubt, Gary, no problem. Thank you for tuning in. And always, Gary Rupert a good friend of mine, man. Gary looks out. I like Gary. That's my guy. But guys, I mean, any questions or comments, put them in the chat. I'll probably be live for another 6 minutes here. Just wanted to get on here and talk to you guys about this Dion Dawkins contract. And I mean, wow. I mean, we thought that once not Brandon Beane, but once Sean McDermott signed his contract yesterday, that maybe we'd be done for a little bit. But no, right after that, they come up and they lock the snowman up right after. So we got to assume that Brandon Beane has got to be coming down the pipe next. Hey, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Who would you like to see extended next? Is it a coach? Doesn't matter whether it's a coach, whether it's a player. Who would you like to see get paid next? Put it in the comments, and I will get it up on the screen there. I want to hear you guys' opinions. I mean, for me, it's definitely a Brandon Beane. I think that we need to reward him for his work. I think he's helped put this team together. I think that we have a contender for the next couple of years. I think he's kept pretty much every promise. That he's made to us so far. So like I said, I think that Brandon Beane should be next. I'm not seeing the Matt Milano yet. I'm just not. I feel like if we try to re-sign him, we may get ourselves in trouble down the line with Josh. Because don't forget, we still got to have Josh coming up down the line. You're going to have Tremaine. And I think, too, we're not thinking about Ed Oliver. It's never too early to think. Like, obviously, with his 5th-year option, we'll have 4 more years under the deal with him. But if Ed Oliver becomes a player that we think he's going to play in the interior force, because I'll be honest with you, I got Ed getting 8.5 sacks this season. That's what I'm putting Ed at. So if he becomes the player that we think is, he could possibly be a $100 million player as well, especially interior rusher. So let's see. Billy Stevens say, JT, you might be on tomorrow for another signing. Hey, you're right. You're right. You're definitely right, Billy. I just might. And if they sign somebody, I'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know who it'll be. Like I said, maybe it'll be Matt Milano. Maybe it'll be Brandon Bean. I don't know. I mean, I can't see Tre'Davious White yet. If I'm Tre'Davious White's agent, I mean, I don't know if I'm signing an extension yet. The only way I'm signing an extension is if I feel that this season's going to get canceled and the salary cap's going to end up getting dropped to $175 million. And if that's the case, then yeah, I may sign that $20 million deal right now, because who knows when that market's going to go back up, because that's going to drop every single positional market down. And like I said, once again, this is what makes this Dion Dawkins deal so much greater. At that $15 million pop a year, that's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you at all. Even the salary cap drop, that's still reasonable money. And God knows, I mean, if the salary cap doesn't drop and it goes up another 10 million in 2021, then another 10 million, because that's been the trend. It's been going up 10 million a season for like the last 8 years. So if it goes up another 10 million in the next 2 years, then I mean, really, what's the value of that contract? It's like investing in stocks right now. Well, not right now, because the market is awful. I've lost a lot of money, but it's like investing in stocks right now. If you invest low, you sell high, you made your money. Dion's contract from the moment right now is going to trend down. So, I mean, he'll come back up with the second round of left tackles, which if he sustains this consistent play and this durability, then yeah, when people like Mekhi Becton, who was a first-round pick this year, Taylor Wirfs, who was a first-round pick this year, when these guys come up for their deals off their rookie contracts and they reset the market, Dion's right in line to get paid with them if he sustains this type of play and the durability. Then yeah, he'll get his money the second time around. And it may be another 4-year deal. And on another 4-year deal at age of 29, he's only going to be 33 when it's done. But yeah, guys, I mean, great day for Buffalo. Great 2 days for Buffalo. I mean, this is something that we haven't experienced, oh God, I know in years. In years. I mean, it's almost unexplainable of what's happening right now in the transition. Did any of you guys see this coming 3 years ago? I mean, obviously, when we hired McDermott, you know, to me, it's like when we hire every other coach, like, okay, they're saying all the right things. I want to believe them. But 2 years in, 8 games in, you're like, well, damn, where's my piece of the pie? You told me that I was getting an apple pie, and here you made me a pie with prunes. Prunes. Who wants to eat a prune pie? That's what we've been getting to Buffalo for like the last 20 years since Levy's been gone. Well, except the Wade Phillips, but we know what happened there. You know, unceremonially dissed by Ralph Wilson for not firing special teams coordinator Ronnie Jones. But yeah, we hadn't been getting anything that we wanted the last 20 years. But now, 2 days in a row, back to back, we signed our head coach, Sean McDermott. We got him here long term, locked in, not a problem. 6-year deal, first extension to Dick Duran in 2008. Then we get our left tackle, Dion Dawkins, signed. Now, mind you, we signed Cordy Glenn back when Doug Whaley was here, but then we kind of overpaid for Cordy. I mean, what did we give Cordy back in the day? Was it a 5-year, $48 million deal we gave Cordy Glenn? Ended up trading him. He was never healthy throughout the deal. And like I said, at the end of the day, we kind of overpaid for him. He was solid, but we still overpaid for him. But now we have our first left tackle and our first tackle that we feel like we could probably really depend on, not only durability-wise, but play-wise, since Jason Peters. And Jason Peters is like 40 years old. And he only played, 3 years in Buffalo, and then we got rid of him because of the contract dispute? It's a different day and age in Buffalo, people. That's pretty much what it is. It's a different day and age in Buffalo. The times have changed. It's our turn now. It really is championship caliber. It really is one Buffalo. And I find it funny that I on our Instagram, we had a Patriots fan come on there. Oh, I forgot what post it was. And he said, you guys ain't locked up anything yet. You guys haven't won the AFC East. How many AFC East championships can you guys consecutively win? That's what he said. He said the Pats are still the owners of the AFC East. That's what he said. You know what we told him? The minute Brady left, there was a for sale sign put up. And the Bills are the new buyers. You don't have to believe it. We're going to keep telling you. You don't have to believe it if you don't want to. That's fine. But when we come out there, and this is to the Dolphins, this is to the Jets, this is to the Patriots, because they're going to have to see us 2 times a year. When we come out there and we pretty much punch you in the mouth 2 times a year, you're going to look back and you're going to say, hey, this ain't the same old Bills anymore. This isn't Bills Mafia throwing dildos on the field and being mocked by the media. It's not going to be funny anymore because it's not funny. It's 31 teams in the league right now looking and shaking their head saying, well, what the hell happened? Yeah, times have changed. Times have definitely changed. There's a new sheriff in town, and it's the Buffalo Bills. And if you don't believe it, I'll talk to you in about what? We have 32 days left of football. It's about what? Almost 5 weeks. Playoffs start in 17. Well, guess what? I'll come talk to me in 23 weeks and see if you don't believe me then. As my mother always used to tell me, I can show you better than I can tell you. And that's exactly what's going to happen here in Buffalo. That's it. Dion Dawkins, locked up, 4 years, $60 million. Sean McDermott, locked up, next 6 years. Who's next? Brandon Beane, Matt Milano. What we do know is somebody's coming next. And that's all that matters. And you better be waiting. And you're going to be sorry. Because we ain't stopping now. We ain't stopping now. There's a new regime in town. And Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, and I give a heads up to the Pagulas. They got this thing in order. And when you see them coming to your town, you better believe they're coming to play. They're coming to win. They're coming to dominate. And they're bringing like 20,000 Bills Mafia fans with them when the COVID season over and fans are allowed to come back in the stadiums. And if you're a stadium that's allowing 25% the fans to come in this year, better believe 10% of your fans are going to be Bills Mafia. 10% of your fans will definitely be Bills Mafia. But hey, in the great words of our man, the snowman Dion Dawkins, he doesn't win until we all win. And you know what? How about we just take it and stir it up a little bit? You got your money, big man. You earned it. You deserved it. Congratulations. Like you said, you're just a young kid from Rahway, and the Bills took care of you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep being who you're being. Your personality is great. We love what you do in the city, and you already stir it up. I'm JT. I'm out. Catch you tomorrow. There's another sign, and we'll see. Cold Front Report out.